That Tuesday, in broad daylight, on one of the busiest sidewalks in the city center, wearing rags and shivering from the cold, there stood a man whom many ignored. Thousands of people passed by him, but only one stopped Luisa. She didn't know that by offering her only piece of bread and sharing the little food she had for lunch with that stranger, she was activating an invisible mechanism capable of destroying and rebuilding her life in less than 6 hours. Because no one realized who that man truly was and what he was hiding behind that dirty beard, you can't even imagine. Prepare your heart, because what happened at the beginning of that afternoon will make you question everything you think you know about destiny. Luisa's morning began even before the sun rose. She was already on her second shift, cleaning the glass windows of a hospital, while many people paid fortunes to be healed. Her own mother, at home, was slowly fading away without access to a simple medicine worth 100 reais. Luisa was invisible to the doctors, to the world, just another cleaning lady. But she had something money cannot buy: a deep sensitivity to other people's pain, what others ignored. Luisa noticed in the smallest details. At 11:30 a.m., she was sitting on a warm step of a service stairway, trying to eat a dry piece of bread. She looked up at the sky. The intense blue was beginning to disappear, swallowed by heavy, dark clouds like lead. The air felt suffocating. It was the sign of something big coming. At noon, during rush hour, the sky broke open. A summer storm came down with brutal force, as if it wanted to wash the soul of the city. Black umbrellas opened in a rush. Executives ran, cars honked. In the middle of that chaos, Luisa was 5 minutes late. 5 minutes, because she stopped to help an elderly woman cross the street. But the manager, a man who measured people's value by the hands of a clock, didn't care. Without even looking into her eyes, he signed her dismissal. Luisa felt her stomach tighten. Her hands trembled as she held the envelope, which represented her only security. Outside, the storm continued. She thought about her mother, about the medicine, and a single tear mixed with the raindrops on her face. The world seemed to spin too fast, and for the first time, she felt like she was falling behind. Does the world punish those with a good heart? At that moment, it felt like it did. Luisa left the hospital with her final payment in her pocket, a very small amount, and a cheap umbrella. She was completely soaked. The streets were flooded, and desperation was knocking at her door. Then, near an almost empty square, Shu, yeah. While everyone else ran for shelter, an elderly man was sitting on the ground, leaning against a fence, receiving all the rain on his fragile body. With nothing, no protection, no dignity. "Sir, you can't stay here. The water is rising," Luisa said, worried. The man didn't respond. He just stared into nothing, like someone who had already given up on life. Luisa didn't think twice. She opened her umbrella and tied it to the fence behind him, trying to protect him from the rain. Then, she took out her lunch container, her only meal, and placed it into his cold hands. "Eat, you need strength." She also gave him the little money she had, the bus money, the medicine money, and decided to walk home. Under the rain, Luisa arrived home around 2 in the afternoon, shivering, feverish. She walked in and saw her mother coughing. She looked at her own empty hands, still red from the cold. And for a moment, she felt that her kindness might have been a mistake. In the dimness of that humble house, cold air entered through the cracks, mixing with the heavy breathing of Donna Mercedes. Each thunder outside felt like a cruel reminder that the world kept spinning. Indifferent to her pain, Luisa wondered if the man in the square was safe, or if both of them were destined to sink in the same storm. But what she didn't know was that, at that exact moment, the man from the square was being cared for. Dry, warm. His name was Arthur, the largest shareholder of the hospital where she worked. That day, he had gone out on a silent test of humanity. He wanted to know if empathy still existed in the world, and he found it. At 4 in the afternoon, the sun returned. A rainbow appeared over the city, and the silence of the street was broken by luxury cars stopping in front of Louisa S.'s house. The neighbors were in shock. Arthur stepped out, elegant, imposing. Nothing like the man from the rain. But his eyes were searching for only one person, Louisa. She opened the door, confused, weak, not understanding. And then he said, "Many people gave me money today to ease their own conscience. But you gave me protection. You gave me food. You saved me from something far worse than the rain. You saved me from loneliness." In that moment, everything changed. Arthur didn't just buy her mother's medicine. He transformed her life and the entire community. He rebuilt the neighborhood, brought electricity, sanitation, dignity. Louisa was no longer invisible. She became the director of the hospital's charity foundation, and the umbrella, that simple broken umbrella, was covered in silver and placed at the entrance of the hospital with a message: "No one is invisible." The former manager, every single day, looked at that symbol and felt the weight of regret. Louisa learned something she would never forget. The day may begin cruel. The afternoon may turn into a storm.